Support for this episode of YXC Underground comes from Ivy Yoga House. If you're looking for a yoga studio in Saskatoon that welcomes people of all abilities, you should really check out Ivy Yoga House.
So I don't think it was necessarily the danger that we were possibly, because I don't think I thought like that at the time. If I'm being completely honest, I didn't actually think, I was just thinking there's so many people here, it's so overwhelming, right? That I think that was my main thing, is that there's so many people here at one time. It was Christmas every day. I don't know how else to describe it. It was December 23rd, like our busiest day every year, every day. And it felt like that for like 2 months.
Hello, I'm Eric Anderson. The voice you just heard belongs to grocery store worker Jordan Stovra. Jordan is the featured guest in Season 3, Episode 9 of YXC Underground. When COVID-19 arrived in Saskatoon last spring, many of us switched to working at home. But for grocery store workers like Jordan Stovra, they kept going to work to ensure the shelves were full of things that we need. They are essential workers in our community. We spend time with Jordan in this episode to find out what it has been like being an essential worker and why he gets so happy seeing his friends at work just once a week. Welcome to the Varsity Common Sobeys on 8th Street in Cumberland. It's a big grocery store that has everything from a bakery and flower department to a pet food section and a Starbucks. For the past year, I have come here every Saturday or Sunday morning to get groceries for my wife and I. It has become part of my routine, and full disclosure, I really look forward to coming here every week. Armed with a grocery list written by my wife, I start my grocery shopping in the produce section and then work my way through the bakery and meat departments before weaving my way to the milk and dairy sections, ending with the potato chip aisle because I am a sucker for potato chips. Getting these groceries gives me a sense of purpose on the weekends, and also something that my boss at Sherbrooke, Sewell and Beatty calls the joy of accomplishment. I feel joy when I cross everything off my list. I also feel joy when I get to say hi to the staff at my grocery store. It could be Joan, who often works at one of the cashiers. There's Riley, who I see at customer service sometimes. And then there's Jordan Stovra. Jordan, how much ice can this hold?
Like a lot. I don't actually know. I think there's probably like a number on here somewhere. But it feels like a lot. Like if you look in there, that can get filled to the top. It just wasn't filled. So there's like a sensor that activates it. But because we have this new like fancy metal one, it doesn't reach all the way.
I wanted to do an episode highlighting the work of essential grocery store workers, and Jordan was the first person I thought of. I've been lucky to know Jordan for several years. We used to volunteer together at CFCR, which is Saskatoon's community radio station. We would often see each other at concerts, usually Amigos on a Friday or Saturday night, and while walking our dogs in our neighborhood. Jordan has worked at this Sobeys for the past 8 years. He's done everything from run the seafood department to working cashier to recently putting in his first shift in the produce section. He's a big, burly guy who used to play junior football and has an unruly beard that a hairnet can barely contain. Jordan is also a compassionate and thoughtful 24-year-old who genuinely cares for the people that shop in his store. I was able to spend a few hours on a Saturday morning with him at Sobeys, and it was great speaking with him while he was getting the seafood department ready for a busy day. Now, this episode is going to sound a little bit different. Jordan does a really wonderful job of answering questions in complete sentences, and I was able to gather a lot of cool sounds of him working. So you won't hear my voice at all in this episode. Well, maybe a little bit, but not really that much. When I worked at CBC Radio, we would call this a soundscape, where you let the subject of your story, plus the sounds of their environment, tell the story. And that's what I tried to do with Jordan, and I hope you enjoy it. In the first part of this episode, Jordan discusses what the first few weeks were like when the pandemic hit and how he's handled the challenges posed by COVID-19. Take it away, Jordan.
So my name's Jordan Stovra, born and bred here in Saskatoon. Love the city, and I think I'm a seafood clerk here at Sobeys, but over the past year I've done like a lot of different tasks and jobs around the store, from stocking grocery to working produce yesterday to being a cart getter, COVID person. It's a real jack of all trades, master of none kind of deal now. Oh, and right now we're currently standing in the seafood department at Varsity Common Sobeys. Kind of my favorite department to be at. I was a manager here in this department for a couple of years, and it is just a great department. I love fish. I love fish so much, and the stuff like cutting whole fish, cutting halibut, cutting like Atlantic salmon, stuff like that, I get a lot of joy out of. Same as like being like cutting beef or cutting pork. I get a lot of joy out of doing that, and just like working and feeling productive. Yes, I can see everyone, and it's kind of quiet over here. It's not that busy. Usually we would have, like, if you look above us, there's a speaker right there, so it's nice for the music when it's working. I don't know why it's not working. You wouldn't hear all the lovely acoustic covers of 80s new wave bands that they play. No, it is just a nice area to be in. It's nice and relaxing. I get to feel creative in what I do here. Eric, have you ever seen a whole halibut?
No, I've never seen a whole halibut. Oh boy.
It's not actually a hole, it's been cut into, but yeah, I'm doing well. Doing better. Hey buddy. This is like my one area where I get to like be around, like I get to see my friends here. I don't really try and go out because I already have enough people exposure. I'm a pretty social guy. I think you know that, Eric. I'm kind of an extrovert. The last year has been hard in that sense that I haven't had those outlets outside of work, whether it be like coaching football that I do. I met your wife through that, right? Stuff like that, where I'm like, I don't have those outlets, my extracurricular activities, you know what I mean? Whether it be going to concerts and stuff, being like an active host at the studio at CFCR every week. I haven't had those outlets really, so it's been a struggle that way. It's been work, and it's been actual work, and you don't really have flow days anymore, which is weird. March 13th, I actually remember having that day off, and it was a Thursday, and I was at school at the university, and then I came here immediately after, because I was like, yeah, classes got short today, I'm going to cook some supper, and shelves were empty. And I'm like, I knew I had to work the next day, and I was not like pumped for it, because I saw how empty the shelves were, and I saw how busy it was. And I just remember that first 2 weeks being just like a grind. And I don't know how else to describe it. It feels like I'm in like conditioning at football practice for like the entire 2 weeks, where it's like you're lined up all the time. I was working a lot of customer service, a lot of like cashier. I just felt like the entire day was busy. There wasn't really a slowdown period throughout the day. What really helped then though was that we were closing the store. Like our hours were like shorter. I think it was like 8 to 8 or 8 to 9. I can't actually remember what it was. And that was nice because it kind of made people choose carefully when they were coming to here. Now we've kind of extended it from like 7 to 10. So we still get people who come at like 9:30, and I always kind of think those people are kind of weird if you're doing your week shopping at 9:30. But I thank them for shopping here. But I think at the end of the day, I just remember, yeah, it's being a grind and not necessarily the funnest experience I've ever had. Just the amount of people. I think it was just more. It wasn't even at that point, because I think this is being fairly honest. I don't think a lot of people knew the hazards or the consequences of COVID as a whole. And I don't think we're really seeing that until the second and third wave of whether it be like variants that are a little bit more deadly, or we don't see those effects. So I don't think it was necessarily the danger that we were possibly, because I don't think I had thought like that at the time. If I'm being completely honest, I didn't actually think, I was just thinking there's so many people here, it's so overwhelming, right? That I think that was my main thing, is that there's so many people here at one time. Like it was Christmas every day. I don't know what else it was December 23rd, like our busiest day every year, every day. And it felt like that for like 2 months. I know for myself, I think there was like a day, it might have been like beginning of April around there, and it felt like the first slow day in like a month. And I think I walked in one day and I went to the meat manager, and he's like, I think I overbooked you. And I'm like, you overbooked me? I'm out. And I just like, it was like a 3-minute shift. Like I like walked home that day. Cause like it was just exhaustion. Like a lot of us were just trying to get by day to day. Now it's still busy. Like I think throughout today you'll see that it's still busy on like a Saturday, which is one of our like busier days throughout the week. But it's not like it's been busy a lot. I think there's obviously some times where customers come in and they aren't necessarily the most like happy, or like, and I think like at the beginning I was kind of a lot more pessimistic towards people, because I think like I didn't understand why people couldn't just be nice to other people. I'm very just like, I don't understand this. But I think at the end of the day, I think I like saw something, or I was talking to a couple friends, and they were like, at the end of the day, like everyone's kind of going through it. Everyone's in the washing machine, and it's being turned, and everyone's trying to get through it, and they all have their own life issues. So if someone's a little bit sour to you at work, you just shouldn't really take it that personally. And that's kind of how I've taken it now. I don't think I was necessarily the most cordial person in the first couple months, just because I was like overworked, but I was also dealing with the process of going through the pandemic, right? And maybe I didn't understand why like some people were coming to the store every day and stuff like that, and I still kind of don't understand why people are coming to the store every day. But like, I think everyone's trying to do their own thing and trying to live some kind of normal life. So like, trying to bring that home, it was hard at the time, because my mom was also working at Costco, and she had it like way worse than I had it. So like, I was like being like very empathetic. I'm like, yeah, it kind of sucked at work today. It was busy, but it wasn't Costco busy. So I was like, I always had that perspective. And I'm like, it wasn't the worst. So that was nice. But I never had the, and I think the other thing that I didn't realize till a lot later, that I have a lot of friends who work at bars and work at restaurants, work at different establishments that had to close because they weren't essential. And then they had a lot of uncertainty in their lives, and that made me a lot more grateful that I had kind of lucked into having a job at a grocery store. And I think that's the main thing. I think I was very lucky to have this job during this time, because we were considered essential, and I didn't have to worry about whether I was able to pay rent, right? But I know a lot of friends of mine had that worry, right? I had friends of mine who had worked at a job for 15 years and had to take their record of employment for the first time to get CERB, and they're like, this makes zero sense. I've never had to do this in my life, right? So it made me a lot more appreciative of the job I have, and like what I had kind of gotten into.
I'll let you finish your halibut. You're listening to Season 3, Episode 9 of YXE Underground. My name is Eric Anderson, and my guest today is grocery store worker Jordan Stovra. Follow and listen to YXE Underground on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. And you can also stream episodes at yxeunderground.com. Don't forget to rate and leave a review if you like what you hear. Follow YXE Underground on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, and that's where you'll see some great photos of Jordan at work taken by Saskatoon photographer Rana Andres. Some fun facts about Jordan Stovra. Halibut is his favorite kind of fish.
It's fun, it's seasonal. Like, we only really get halibut it's been way longer the last couple of years. But it usually should only be like 6 months out of the year. But it's been going for like about it feels like 8 months out of the year, the last couple of years. I don't know why. It feels longer recently. But yeah, halibut, and it's just nice. It's the nice process, and it just goes back to one of the things that I love.
And he is sometimes asked some tricky questions. For example, a young child asking if she could buy a lobster as a pet.
And I'm like, no, you can't.
People ask if they can buy a lobster as a pet?
That was one of my, like, it was like my third shift, and like, this little kid came up to me, like, I want to save one of the lobsters from being eaten, and I'm like, I don't think you could do that. And I asked my manager, and he's like, well, you can sell it to them. That's not like a problem. It's just they're going to die because they're not going to put them in a saltwater tank. Like they're going to inadvertently kill this lobster. And I was like, oh, so I should just tell them that they're going to kill the lobster? And they're like, not exactly. Don't just give the brunt reality to this child.
Oh, the questions you're asked when you work in a grocery store. You've probably picked up on this already, but Jordan loves his job and takes pride in making sure everything is running smooth in the store. He also loves being part of a team. In the second part of our conversation, Jordan talks about how the pandemic has brought his colleagues together in certain ways and how he feels being deemed an essential worker.
A lot shorter. I think a lot of people are being mindful of getting in and out. And I also think that like people aren't necessarily, they want like that comfort food. I see a lot of comfort food, especially when I'm on cat. They don't want the I don't want to say they don't want to try new things, because that is also happening where people are like, I want to make sourdough for the first time. I'm like, that's a bold choice. But I think that's the biggest thing, is that we have like, just like the amount of time we have to interact with customers. I think customers are more mindful of getting in and out of the store instead of staying here for like 2 hours, or I feel like they feel like an obligation to like get their stuff and leave, get out of here quickly. And I think that's bad, because I think I miss a lot of my friends. Like, I consider a lot of them friends and people I see regularly. I have people that they'll come up to me and it's weird. They'll be like, I heard your voice on the radio. Are you on there? I'm like, yeah, that's me. I don't like advertise that often, so it's interesting that way, that I'm like just talking to customers. I think that's the biggest thing that's been gone, and that's one of the things that sucks. I do like talking and giving ideas to a lot of customers on what they should be cooking, because at the end of the day, they'll keep coming back here and they'll buy the same things, and they'll try different things and stuff like that. So a lot of me, like, I can't believe like washing their hands was a thing that I had to explain to a lot of customers at the beginning, because I think I was March 25th, I was working shifts out in the foyer area, bringing in cards, washing people, like telling people they have to wash their hands, because we had the policy for a long time that if you come to our store, you have to wash your hands. And we had those 2 basins set up to wash their hands, right? You remember that about a year ago? So I think through a lot of the time, we were just like, a lot of people were like, why do I have to wash my hands? And I'm like, to me, it was wild that in a growing global pandemic, that you had to explain to someone to wash their hands. But I think over time, that kind of softened with people, and they were like, they started washing their hands, and that was always nice to see. That was always like people like washing their hands and doing the typical cleanly stuff that we should be doing. I think there was like a real growth period for everyone in the first couple weeks, because I think a lot of the routines that someone was in really had to be broken, and I don't blame someone for being a little bit crusty for coming in and they have to stand in the line outside in -5 or whatever it was at the time, and they're like, no, I just want to go in and grab my stuff. Like, I'm only here for a thing of yeast, and I'm like, there's a problem above you only being here for a thing of yeast, but I think that's neither here nor there. That was my biggest thing, is that it was hard trying to. That's the hardest part, is that I thought these were very common sense ideas, washing your hands, and it was just seemed to be kind of lost on people. So that's been the biggest. I think that's the hardest thing. Like, a lot of the public health measures that have been handed down to people at a store level and for them to enforce, I think that's been the hardest thing. Yeah, so I try and be mindful of a lot of where the customers are, and like what they do, but like their actions that they do themselves, it's really just a personal matter. And I like, if someone doesn't want to follow those health measures, there's nothing really I can do, or nothing that I feel obligated by my job to do, right? Like, I think evidently I do care whether this was a safe place here at Sobeys. I think that's the thing, but I don't think there's a lot of like stuff I'm able to do, right? And it's also just creating bigger stresses on me, because I don't want to go home thinking about if someone was not necessarily the nicest person at my job. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. It feels like a lot. Like if you look in there, oh, that can get filled to the top. It just wasn't filled. So there's like a sensor that activates it. But because we have this new like fancy metal one, it doesn't reach all the way. It's kind of short. So you have to really get in there to get the back stuff, and then the sensor didn't activate. So it's just been like, there's just no ice in there right now. It's, so like I walked in this morning and I was going to have this all done before you, and I could like set up the ice table, which is fun, and then I didn't have any ice. So it wasn't really a great plan by myself. I really should have checked this yesterday to make sure everything was in line. You're doing a new thing every day, and then you're like, especially if it's new tasks, right? So like, first time being a cashier, it was just like, I didn't know how to do a lot of the things, and there wasn't a lot of time to train. And me being here for a long time, it's like, I should be able to figure it out pretty easily, and I did. But it's a lot of the day-to-day tasks and day-to-day errors that I didn't have done, right? And like I made a lot of mistakes, and I was like, working grocery, I worked a lot of grocery in the beginning because we had huge orders, right? And they put everyone towards there to put out the huge orders. And it was hard. It was hard because it was like I didn't know necessarily what I'm doing. And it was just trying to do the best you can in an environment that was weird, and you just didn't understand a lot.
Are you able to rely on your colleagues then for help?
100%. I would not have a job. I would be really lost. I would just be lost. A lot of my colleagues are great in that way, that they're able to help, and especially if you haven't worked in an area before, you don't know what you're doing, I can rely on their help, and it's always great in that sense. Yeah, I would say that we're a closer bunch today than we were a year ago, because I think a lot of us have been through the same situations, and we can rely on each other to give each other advice and give each other like backup. To give each other ideas on how to deal with situations that may arise. Because yeah, it's not the most ideal situation to like learn a new position in. I think there's a lot of people who've been thrown into different positions over the past year that they haven't been that, maybe not knowledgeable is the wrong word, but like that confident of their ability, right? So just a lot of people learning over the past year on not only how to like navigate the world that is currently our world, but also how to navigate like a new job. So that's always been like a fun part of this. Hi Barry. How are you? Doing good. Very used to work here. So, it's always nice talking to him. It was weird. Not that I hug a lot of people here, but me and my mom was in the other day and she hugged me and she's like, I've never hugged people at my work, right, where she works, because she works at Costco, right? It's just like a bad look. I'm like, I honestly don't care at this point. But I think
you hugged your mom here.
I hugged my mom here, right? And I think like stuff like that is like, there's people that like, I don't want to feel weird about hugging my mom at work, right? And I feel like it can be like weird if someone doesn't know. I'm just, people that weird, but also like, I don't know. Even like there's coworkers I'm super close to, and I'm like, I feel very, like, it's very distant because you can't like hang out. You don't feel you can hang out socially with them, right? Just like safely and right now. So it's been hard trying to like, you talked about the bond and bringing us closer. I think we're closer as a team here at work, but I think maybe like socially that's kind of gone away a little bit just because you haven't had those opportunities over the past year to do that.
You've been very generous with your time, Jordan, and I sure appreciate that. I am curious, before I let you go, there's so much talk just out in the public, in the community, in terms of those essential frontline workers and getting their, getting their vaccination shots earlier, because I think our society realizes just the important work that you are doing, Jordan, and your colleagues are. How does that make you feel when you hear those types of discussions?
Like half of me be like, yeah, it's great those discussions are happening, but I don't think it's being executed on a provincial level. So I think that's just like very disappointing at the end of the day. And at the same time, I think that should be like base minimum of what like governments should be doing for these frontline workers who, for being fair, didn't really have a choice to be deemed essential, right? Like a lot of people, we couldn't apply to CERB, we couldn't apply to stuff like that because we were deemed essential workers. So the ability to isolate if we felt unsafe during the pandemic wasn't really available to us. Sadly, it'll be the only thing I'll say on record nice about the Kenney government in Alberta is that they're actually giving a payment to a lot of like frontline workers who had to work throughout the pandemic. Not that I would like that from our government, but I think it's like the base minimum of something that can be done to kind of show the appreciation to people who did work throughout the government. Even, I know that's like a large ideal, right? But like, I think something like that, like I think vaccination is almost the bare minimum of what they can do. Like it's great that we're to the front of the line, and trust me, I think there's more vulnerable communities than because I think I have the safeguards of being able to stay at home, and I think I have the safeguards of being able to like distance myself from other people. But at the end of the day, I think that something like vaccinations being available is pretty by the numbers. That's like, obviously the people who are working out of the public should have vaccines. So it's great that we're included in those conversations, but I'm not surprised by them. If that makes any sense.
Thank you for your time today. I told a couple of people that when I was coming to interview you, one of the simple pleasures of my pandemic has been coming to the Sobeys every Saturday or Sunday morning because I do the grocery shopping, and I get to see you because, like you said, I would normally see you out at like concerts and different events, and this is the only chance I get to see you. So
I appreciate you being here only once a week. Because I see people every day, and I'm like, I only get to see Eric once a week. I'm so happy to see Eric only once a week. Eric, no man, like I mean that genuinely. Like I think like I do, like there's a lot of people that I do see like more often than once a week. But like seeing my friends who shop once a week, or seeing people who like only like the idea of seeing only this like the community that I have has been really nice. Like on a bad day, I'll see 3 or 4 friends, right? And then it kind of makes my day a little better because I've got to see some friends. So that's been nice.
Thank you, Jordan, for your time today. Thanks for letting us invade your department here. It's been a while since I wore a hairnet, so thank you.
Oh, that's an idea I've been thinking about for days. I'm like, I think Eric has to wear a hairnet. I think I want to make Eric wear a hairnet. I think I'm going to put it on. I'm not even going to message him about it. I'm going to have him wear a hairnet. Yeah.
Thank you, Jordan.
No problem.
My thanks to Jordan Stovra for allowing me to speak with him at work for the podcast, and you'll be happy to know that Jordan recently received his first dose of the COVID-19 vaccine. This has been episode 9 of season 3 of YXC Underground. My name is Eric Anderson. I host, produce, and edit this local independent podcast. Follow and listen to YXC Underground on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. And you can also stream episodes on the website yxcunderground.com. If you like what you hear, please feel free to give the podcast a 5-star rating and review. Don't forget to follow YXC Underground on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and that's where you'll see some great photos of Jordan taken by Saskatoon photographer and my friend, Rana Andres. Thank you to my cousin Andrew Dixon for creating the theme music for the podcast. Thank you to Saskatoon's Danger Dynamite for creating and maintaining the website. And a very special thank you to a Sobeys communications officer named Samantha for helping me to set up this interview. Samantha, I so appreciate your help. And a big thank you to Jen Rondeau and the team at Ivy Yoga House for supporting this episode. You might remember Jen from recently being a guest on the podcast. Not only is she an amazing critical care paramedic in Saskatoon, but she also owns and operates just a wonderful yoga studio called Ivy Yoga House. If you practice yoga or have been curious to give it a try, I can't recommend this studio enough. It's a warm and welcoming space, and Jen has assembled a team of amazing teachers who are just great people. So thank you, Jen and the team at Ivy Yoga House, for supporting and believing in the podcast. Before I go, I would like to acknowledge that this episode was gathered on Treaty 6 territory and the traditional homeland of the Métis. YXC Underground is a production of the Salthammer Production Company. My name is Eric Anderson. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll talk to you soon, Saskatoon.